So, as Latina Heritage Month is soon approaching, we begin with our first guest who's been paving the way. She is dedicated to the preservation of Puerto Rican culture through music, comedy, writing, and acting. She's performed in various venues across the nation, and her work can be seen in hit TV series such as Empire, Grey's Anatomy, Chicago PD, The Resident, to name a few, and also the nominated, web series Brown Girls, and in her own one-woman shows, Sexo Comedy and Sushi Frito. And starting today, mi gente, you can watch her in the newly premiered Hulu show, How to Die Alone, which follows the story of a Black JFK airport employee who finally takes flight in her own life, chasing her dreams and goals. Everyone, please welcome actor, comic, playwright, and producer Melissa Duprey. Welcome, Melissa.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to see you again.
Long time no see.
I think it's a lovely thing when we're all keeping track of each other's work, and to finally meet you in person at the White House at the inaugural Afro Latino celebration in honor of Black History Month. That was quite the experience. Yeah, no. I just wanted to open up with that association.
Yeah, it was wonderful. That whole experience was absolutely stunning and amazing, and the first of its kind.
Yes.
And it was beautiful to see all of the people in the room that are doing similar work, but in different cities and in different mediums. And I'm just honored to have been in that space, but mostly to have connected with you finally.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I love the fact that, there was Afro Latinos that came in from all over the United States and abroad, because we had Central America in the house as well. Yes. Central and South America in the house as well.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Colombianos.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to open up with that because that's where we first met, and you're in a different state, right? And now you're in another state because you're traveling, promoting the premiere of this wonderful Hulu show. However, I wanted to share with our viewers a little bit of your background and your journey, because while you were doing all this wonderful work in California, you've chosen to make your way back to Chicago, and you've been doing a lot of things independently, and you teach and you mentor. And so I just want to introduce our viewers to everything Melissa Duprey.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Because I just want them to get the gist of who you are and where we're at, and what the industry is looking like, to where this, I guess, project came in, because I understand that the project itself was shot before the strike and wasn't even greenlit.
Well, it was absolutely greenlit. We shot the entirety of the series, and as soon as we wrapped on the final episode, we had a historic strike, starting with the Writers Guild. So the writers went on strike first. And of course, we cannot do anything without the writers. And so when a lot of folks talk about the strike, they mention, the separation between the writers and then the actors. That actors went on strike the minute the writers went on strike. So it was 8 months of not knowing if this show was even going to see the light of day, because we couldn't touch it. We couldn't do post edits. We couldn't promote it. We couldn't even talk about it. We couldn't say its name. So while Hulu and Onyx were definitely championing these amazing works from Black women, we didn't know whether or not it was going to come to fruition. And so it would have been out last September, and now it's finally out today. And I'm so excited to see it. Last week, I was in California for the premiere. It was my first red carpet. Honey, I brought Humboldt to Hollywood, and it was an experience like no other. It was very immersive, interactive. The feedback was incredible. And I'm just so excited for people to see this kind of work where there's a hero and an anti-hero, right? It's like, what gets in our own way? What blocks us from really living our best and fullest life and being the best and fullest version of ourselves without needing any other validation, being seen, but also more importantly, seeing yourself really living life the way it should be. And I'm just excited for folks to experience it.
Well, I got to say, I was excited seeing you right now in that fly outfit. Oh my goodness. That dress was fly.
Thank you very much. It was a creative collaboration. The first time I brought in a girlfriend of mine who I've been supporting for years and years, over a decade, Madre de Perla Designs. Her name is Denise Ruiz, and she is the owner of the Honeycomb Network, a co-working space that really highlights Black, Caribbean, and Indigenous artists and artesanos. And she has been making these really custom pieces, jewelry pieces that I swear I put her kids through college, with the amount that I've invested in her pieces during time. But it really just kind of speaks to me. And when I walked in the red carpet, I thought, with everything that's going on, and how a lot of artists are silenced once they get into the industry and can't really speak up, I want to walk onto that red carpet and people should see optically and aesthetically exactly for what I stand. So, whether it's something that is Afro Caribbean or African prints or anything like that, I want people to really understand that the diaspora está fuerte, and the representation, when we fight for representation, we're fighting to do that authentically and honestly. And so I really wanted my first red carpet to pop out. And so you could see, there's earth elements, there's sky elements, there's golden African elements, there's Caribbean elements, and just, being authentically me from the moment I step out till whenever, because they're going to say, it was an overnight success, but it took 12 years to get here.
I hear that. And you know what? You succeeded. How about that? You
Thank
succeeded in
you.
what you set out to accomplish. And speaking of representation, which is what I had started to open up with your journey to California, and having been on all of these hit TV series and then choosing to come back to Chicago. Like,
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about that.
it was such a transition. For the grace of God and my mother, may it rest her soul, I booked Grey's Anatomy on a self tape from Chicago. I sent in a tape Wednesday, got hired on Friday, and I was on set on Monday during COVID. And the first thing that they do is give COVID tests. And so I landed, they isolated me. I drove there. They isolated me. And for the 2 seasons, you really can't risk not working. So I was very isolated here in California, even though I didn't even understand the lifestyle. I was like, oh, I'm a hiking girl now. I'm from Chicago, but now I'm surfing and I'm going to farmers markets on a Tuesday with adobo in my bag, putting adobo and kale. So, it was a completely different lifestyle. And I didn't realize how homesick I had gotten, because community is something that's cultivated, it's built, it just doesn't happen. And trying to cultivate that here during COVID, where a lot of Chicago people and LA are very scattered and spread out, but people are very much focused on their own lifestyle, whereas Chicago's focused on communal
Right.
events. We're out in festivals. We are, on our stoops. We're rooftop parties. We're also hyper segregated, but very radicalized. So we're always galvanizing around movement work. And I didn't realize how much of that I was involved in, and I absolutely missed it. So when the strike happened, I took that opportunity to go back home and incubate there. Self tape happens wherever you are. You can
Right.
absolutely work everywhere. And I think Chicago is the only thing that really helped me stay afloat, where I can become an MC and really bridge the gap between people's organizational mission
Right.
and the social justice dialogue, and learn how to get people excited and galvanized around supporting an organization. So I've MC'd festivals, galas, multiple events around the city, and that has helped sustain me while I'm also working on my craft. I'm also teaching at an MFA level for theater. I'm a theater baby, teatrista through and through. I have 5
Uh-huh.
solo shows and a full-length play. And I just think that I'm truly living in the intersections of a diversified platform.
It's
And
beautiful.
more artists need to do that.
I agree. I agree 100% with you,
Mhm.
because that is where your identity lies, really, in
Yes.
that intersectionality and the embracement of all of it and understanding, because that's truly where the mental wellness really builds from, right?
It does, but it's also straining. So you do have to make sure you're prioritizing time for yourself to recharge, go on
Pues
vacation.
claro, you got to rest, you got to rest. But before we even close, right, because we got to get back to what you're here for to begin with, which
Yes.
is to promote How to Die Alone, which I know you were in California and you went to this premiere. And
Mhm.
again, we discussed the actual process of you shooting it and then having
Yeah.
to shut down based on the strike, and now it's actually being released today. And so, what has all of this been for you, coming full circle, having been in California, going back to Chicago, and now having gone to back to California? Even though you're coming back to you came back to Chicago.
Chicago. So I'm a Chicago-based
Right,
artist. So
right,
wherever the work goes, that's where I'll go. But I'll
right,
be Chicago-based because I really want to pipeline what Hollywood resources look like in other cities, because I just don't believe that we have to leave our city in order to be validated
right.
or successful. I think that we should, if we're going to be rooted, then we should water the roots where we're at. So I'll be a Chicago artist, and I really hope that this show gets to elevate and highlight that Chicago has the goods. You know, we have really wonderful artists. People come here to sharpen their craft. And when I see someone like Tamika, my character, on the screen, I really hope that people see their prima, their tia. I hope they see their bestie in her. She's so she is that kind of person that's going to push you and challenge you, but also turn up and pop a bottle with you on your good days and bad days. She's just such a vibrant soul, and I've been blessed that most of my roles that I've gotten have been intentionally Afro Latina or Afro Boricua. Grey's Anatomy, Sara Ortiz was a Black Puerto Rican. Empire, the director who watch me audition my one line, one day, one role shoot, knew we needed a Black Boricua this whole time. And I turned a one-liner, no-named role into a reoccurring character with a name. So it's those kinds of things. We need to see our people. We need to see, I know that kind of girl. And I'm excited about it. I think it's funny. I think it's going to be really heartbreaking. I think we're not always going to see the happiest endings. It's a dramedy, but Natasha Rothwell has created something really beautiful, bending the genre, defining it, and making something that's going to be accessible for all kinds of people with all kinds of experience. It's incredibly diverse, but it's also something we haven't seen much before. So I'm excited for it.
Me too. I'm looking forward to seeing you in it. Everyone, Melissa Duprey bringing the full, authentic Afro Latinidad into all of her characters. Thank you
Oh,
for
thank
bringing it
you.
here on Open.
Thank you, Rhina.
Woo!
Thank you for having me. Thank you for elevating, and thank you for all the work that you do, highlighting and centering people who are walking this road. It is not easy, and you make us all feel like we're seen. Thank you.
Yeah, you're special. You're special. And I hope they realize how special you are, because you are so fun to watch, sister. Thank you for
Thank you
bringing
so
it here
much.
on
Well, the
Open.
first 4 episodes will drop the 13th, and then the subsequent 2 the following Friday, and then the following Friday. So first 4 will be on the 13th, then 2 more, and then 2 more. So by the end of September, we will have them all.
Nice. Well, anyway, I think we're all used to streaming now, right? So it is what it is, right? When you go to Hulu, it's like, okay, this is how many I could watch, and then we got to wait until the next ones get dropped. But thanks for giving us the breakdown. Everyone, Melissa Duprey again.
Gracias, mi gente.
Woo! And once again, we were talking everything about How to Die Alone. Check out How to Die Alone now, streaming as of today on Hulu. And of course, if you want to learn more about Chicago-based artist Melissa Duprey, you can visit melissadupre.com. All right, stay tuned. There's more Open when we return.